everyone, my name is Sarah. This is my podcast, Mother Goose Knits, where I talk about knitting, spinning, and quilting sometimes, but mostly knitting and spinning. Um, it finally feels like winter around here. I live in Buffalo with my 3 kids and husband, and it finally got cold and snowy. I know a big portion of the country got the cold snap and snow and kind of blizzardy weather. So it's nice to finally feel like it's actually winter. I am in my biggest, coziest sweater that I have. This is the Low Key Cardigan by Woodlands Knits. I actually knit this in Jiffy by Lion Brand, which is an acrylic bulky weight yarn, and it's pretty fuzzy and warm and soft. And it's a nice, warm, thick sweater that I've been using in place of my robe because my robe often gets a little too hot. So for the new year, what have I finished so far? So far I've finished 2 hats. One hat I actually started way back at the end of October, before Halloween. And it was a fingering weight hat, uh, which I guess is an excuse for taking so long. I really don't like knitting fingering weight yarn. It just takes so long and then I'm not motivated because I feel like I'm never going to finish it. But I really wanted this hat. And it was the Basic Witch Beanie by Dora Violet, I believe. Let me check. Yes, Dora Violet. And it's a free pattern. And it's the kind of hat where you knit a very long tube. Like you start at a very small circumference, increase, then knit a long tube, and then decrease. And then you just fold it in on itself to create an extra thick hat. She said it was supposed to look like the Carhartt beanies that you get. And I don't. Oh, it does kind of look like that. Okay. I feel like it looks like that a little bit. It's just a little thicker on the brim than I would like. Uh, just aesthetically, like warmth wise, it's perfect. And I love the color. This was knit in Cece's wool in the color Honeycomb. I think it was her sock, super sock something. I bought that at the New York Sheep and Wool Festival. And then I used Knitting for Olive soft silk mohair with that to make it kind of fuzzy. And I really love it. However, it does come in one size. And I believe it was 138 stitches um, around that you're supposed to knit to. And um, I have a child size head. So I had to, after a lot of trial and error, I had to reduce it to 100 stitches. It could have been 104 just to even out the increases and decreases at the top, but basically around 100. And that was going to give me a 19-inch circumference of the hat, which is a 2-inch negative ease for my 21-inch circumference head. So this worked out. Finally, it was a lot of ripping out and starting over, but I'm really happy with this. This is my favorite hat. And it's extra warm for the winter. I just need a matching pair of mittens to go with it. Next hat. This one, I love it and hate it. This one is the Soft and Cushy hat by Purl Soho, another free pattern, and I knit it with my hand spun. This is BFL, and the colorway was Pumpkin Patch, which I bought from Friends in Fiber. And I bought 8 ounces of the pumpkin patch. And I did a colorwork yoke sweater, the arboreal sweater, with the second skein I spun. But with the first skein, it was a little more uneven. So I decided to just go for a hat. And the Soft and Cushy hat, I believe, is a half fisherman's rib. I'm not sure exactly what qualifies as a half fisherman's rib, but you knit into the stitch below for one row, and then you just, well, you knit and purl for one row, and then you knit in the stitch below and purl for the next row. And it took a lot longer to knit this than I was thinking, but it ended up nice. I'm not crazy about how the colorway knits up just on its own. I loved how it came out in the colorwork yoke, but here, like, it's just a little bit ugly. It matches this sweater, okay, and it obviously matches my arboreal sweater. So it's not like I can't wear it or anything, and it's very, very soft and thick and squishy and warm. So I will be wearing it, but the colors are not my favorite. And this sort of, I like hats that have a little extra going on at the top. I don't really like this sort of round, fitted to your head look. But this was an okay knit. I will wear it, and I'm proud of it being hand spun. So that is that. Those are my two finished objects. Now, for whips, I had been working on a Christmas sweater with some yarn that I bought from the New York Sheep and Wool Festival. I bought it specifically for this pattern, and unfortunately, I was playing yarn chicken and I lost. So I have this much left. This was Mountain View Coopworth's, and I should have bought one more skein. I did not. I could have. I didn't. And that was a mistake. But this was the Cassiopeia cardigan. And what stinks about it is this is a bottom-up pattern with lots of color work. And, you know, I did all the color work and I just don't have enough for the yoke. So I'm not quite sure what to do. Here, let me straighten this out. It's got color work on the sleeves here. It's got, this is where it's supposed to be steeked because it's a cardigan. The Cassiopeia cardigan is by Jarbo. It has these really nice star pattern here. I love the color work. I just don't know what to do. I mean, if I take this out, maybe if I do undo the sleeves and do a shorter sleeve, I might have enough. I just don't, I don't know. I might have to undo the whole thing. Also, I'm thinking it's probably bigger than I was expecting it to be, but I don't want to redo the color work. So I don't really know. I think the first step in figuring out what to do is to email the folks at the Mountain View Coopworth's yarn place. They do have an email, and just see if maybe they have one skein left of the yarn. I think it was the colorway Pine. I'm not sure. They have the email right here. It's ACR 135. So I think that is the colorway. But here's, unfortunately with the bottom up, it's like you can't just make it shorter. You know, if you were doing top down, you could just make it a little more cropped or do the sleeves shorter, you know, after you've done the whole body and you look at it and you go, okay, well, I don't have enough, so I'll just do short sleeves, right? You can't really do that here because all the important parts are done at the end, the yoke, you know? So I think this will be languishing for a while until I figure it out. This is a Christmas sweater, so I don't really need it until next Christmas anyway, right? Oh, and the contrasting color for this was blue sky fibers. in Highland Fleece, which I purchased at the Perfect Blend in Socrates. The next pattern I've been working on is one that I cannot pronounce because it's in Finnish. It is a free pattern. It was only in Finnish, and I ended up using Google Translate to translate the pattern. And it's Retkika Veri by Jenna K. And on the page, if you go on the Ravelry page, it says the pattern is available for free, but then you get a 404 error when you click on it. So I don't know why that is. I had downloaded it before it disappeared, so I have the pattern on my computer. I don't know. I guess I don't know why it's gone now, but it's basically a really simple top-down colorwork yoke sweater. Um, the Google Translate version of the pattern is kind of confusing. Um, there's a lot of extra stuff in there. I'm not sure what it means. Sometimes they use the word crochet in there, and I'm not sure why. But I basically just, I know how a top-down colorwork yoke goes, so I just went with it. And here it is so far. It's a pretty high and tight collar. I did not do a folded over collar, which it does recommend or suggest you can do as an option. And it just has this really cool pattern. It's very like woodland, and I used fisherman's wool in natural brown and doeskin heather from Cascade 220 doeskin heather. These were yarns that I had purchased for a different sweater, and I did not like the color combination for that sweater. So I do love the color combination with this sweater. I think it fits much better. And I have almost the whole body done. It's a little cropped, and it's got this color work at the bottom. I'm working on the bottom ribbing. I probably have 4 more rows to go left before I can bind off and then do the sleeves. And the end of the cuff of the sleeves is going to have this pattern here too, right there. So this, I usually don't mess up color work, in a big way, but I messed this up in a big way. On the back, I ended up with half of a color work chart. And I thought that was intentional because of the sizing, but it wasn't. It was supposed to be a full color work chart repeat. So it ended up being smaller than I had anticipated, and I had already chose a small-ish size to have some negative ease, so I was really nervous about it, but it fits perfectly, so that all worked out just fine. I had to finagle the stitch count for the body and the sleeves because I do think the sleeves are going to end up being a little too tight. So I ended up adding 14 stitches under the arm, which the pattern only suggested 8 stitches for the size I was knitting. I was thinking about doing 10 for the next size up, just to make it a little bit looser around the underarms. But then when I looked at the amount of stitches I was supposed to have for the body, I decided to increase just a little bit more. That was the stitch count was off because of the yoke. So I think it'll work out. I think it'll work out just fine. I started this on January 9th, so it's not taking too long at all. It's worsted weight. I've been enjoying doing worsted weight color work patterns because they knit up quickly and they're fun. Yeah, so I did add some extra short rows on the back. The amount of short rows they suggested was actually half of this, and I thought that was a little too small, so I added a few more short rows. And other than that, that is the only modifications I made or had to make. Um, yeah, and Retkika Veri, which I can't pronounce that correctly. I don't speak Finnish, but I think it translates to hiking buddy. So it's the hiking buddy sweater. And it was like a picture of a woman with her dog. So that's all I have for whips right now. But now I'm going to move on to the spinning. All right, so first spinning project that is finished. I I don't remember if I showed this last time, to be honest. I don't think I did. But this is Shetland in the colorway Autumn. I purchased this fiber from Black North Fibers at the Western New York Fiber Festival. And it was a really interesting roving. There was some streaks of orange and streaks of blue, light blue, and brown. And I was so attracted to it, but I wasn't sure if it was ugly or not. But I love how it came out. It's just gorgeous. There's blue flecks and orange flecks everywhere. I have 234 grams, and from what I can tell, I have 466 yards of this. So I have no idea what I'm going to make. Probably a shawl um, of some kind, but I'm really happy with this. I think it's probably sport weight. I need to get, I haven't tracked the wraps per inch on that one, but it looks to be about either DK or sport weight. And my next spinning finished project is Targi, and this colorway is Willow the Wisp, and that was spun from Hello Yarn's September coordinate pack. So I don't get the dyed braids, I get the coordinate packs. It comes with 6 ounces of different colors. And I chose that just because I wanted to mess around on the blending board and see what I could do. And so I made some rolags with this, and I left out the orange color in this. So this actually only ended up being 5 ounces. So this is 150 grams. It looks like it's sport weight. And I overspun this. That was the only problem. I'm a little concerned. I love this color and I really want to do a color work sweater with this, but because I overspun it, I had to put a weight on it when I was drying it. And that worked out nicely, like it straightened it out, but I'm really afraid that it will scrunch back up once I wet it again. So I'm gonna have to do a swatch and figure out if I should make something that doesn't really need to be washed super often, like a shawl or a cowl, or if I can, in fact, use it for a colorwork sweater. I was thinking about um, the Caitlin Hunter um, autumn alpine or the alpine sweater, but I was thinking about something like that for this. But I just love this. The purples and blues are beautiful, and I was super happy with this. Now for spinning whips. Right now I'm working on the October coordinate pack from Hello Yarn, and that was called We've Got Ghosts. Now I did remove the orange color from the Willow the Wisp September collection, and I added that to the October collection. So this is the October collection, and I've put together some rolags. Here you can see the ones I have waiting to be spun. I used my blending board for these. Got 3 left, and I have one right here on my spinning wheel. I will insert a clip of what the yarn looks like. So far it's coming out lovely. It's got this streaks of brown and orange and these sort of creamy yellows. I only made Rolags for half of this. So I do have to do some more Rolags. I just didn't want to have tons and tons of Rolags everywhere. I wanted to keep track of, my first bobbin and then my second bobbin. So I'd have hopefully relatively the same amount of yarn on each. I actually weighed out my autumn colorway for the Shetland. I split it in half, by grams, and I still ended up with a lot more on one bobbin than the other. So, uh, you do the best you can. So far, my spinning has been going pretty well. I'm a lot more consistent. I'm spinning a lot finer with each like subsequent project. So this one is a little bit, well, there were the Shetland fiber was harder to spin. It was stickier. There were more neps. I was pulling out a lot of vegetable matter when I did this. And that didn't bother me at all. And it created a really nice rustic looking yarn. But it is a little bit more um, uneven thickness. Not nearly as much as my pumpkin patch colorway though. So I'm really happy with how it's coming along. Now this was the Targi, and it was a little smoother to spin with, but what is this? This is superfine merino wool top. So this is very, very slick and smooth to spin with. So this one was kind of in the middle. And with this one, I spun it really fine. I can see a few thicker bits, but it's between sport and fingering weight. So, because even right there, let me see. That thickness is about fingering weight there. So I'm happy with how fine I'm able to spin lately. I would like to do a consistent worsted weight though. I feel like that would be the most useful. I'm much more likely to do patterns with worsted weight. Anyway, that is all I have. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.